Talk Live, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed, on both fronts, on IG and YouTube. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. A little later than usual, than when I planned it, demand it, and understand it. Because, well, listen, it's sports. The sports year is just off and running, ladies and gentlemen. So again, yeah. Well, listen, my boys behind me there, Arsenal Football Club are Premier League champions, and quite simply, they are doing their thing. So again, we get the award next week. Get the Premier League award tomorrow, and then next week, well, then next week we have the Champions League final, ladies and gentlemen. So looking forward to that, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, there may be a little noise in the background. It is a bit of a madhouse here, but we're still going to go forward with this on Talk Live and IG and YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you can hear me, ladies and gentlemen, loud and clear. So let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed, this is a two-parter. This is a two-part story here, where we are just going to be dissecting Cheyenne Bryant and how indeed well, decimated. Well, she's living on a lie, basically. Let's face facts here. Shout out to Chanel. She's living on a lie here and trying to make herself into a doctor that she really isn't, ladies and gentlemen. She really isn't. So thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We will not waste any more time, and let's get into this proof. But you know what? We're going to start here first off with a person that Cheyenne Bryant has worked with, sorry, on a few occasions, and quite simply has, hey Chanel, how are you? And quite simply does not have the utmost feelings about Cheyenne Bryant, and that is the one they named Toure. Toure is a entertainment. He's a media specialist and entertainment reporter, and he has worked with Cheyenne Bryant and does not have glowing reviews of her. So let's get into this right now and Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and you can see it live here on YouTube. But again, we'll be going back and forth as per usual here. So thank you very much for joining me here at Talk Live on this two-part special. Tomorrow night we'll be dealing with an actual specialist, the one and only Jeff St. James, therapist extraordinaire, and we'll be describing how Cheyenne Bryant is doing herself and her community a disservice through her lies and deceit. And we'll get getting into that tomorrow night on Talk Live. But tonight we're getting into Toure and other experts who have nothing, who are quite critical of Cheyenne Bryant and her lies, and also we'll link this back to another woman who had reportedly done the same thing herself, but maybe outside the African diaspora, especially the African American experience, the FBA experience, and that is Sadia Khan, who we featured here on Talk Live a few months late last year. So again, we're going to link those two stories together because a lot of African Americans would not know about Sadia Khan, but I do. But anyways, let's get into this here on Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me here tonight.
You've mastered the art of being a doctor on television.
I worked with Cheyenne Bryant on a TV show for about 6 months last year.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
And we got into a massive intellectual argument that came up through multiple episodes of the show. And that told me a lot. Basically, I totally saw this coming.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
The first time I talked with her, she told me she had 3 degrees. And I said, what schools did she go to? A lot of people are saying stuff like that. What school did she go to? Did she actually finish a doctorate? Did she actually write a dissertation? All of these simple questions were answered in a convoluted way during a press tour from hell that is damaging her image, one bad answer after another. This is probably the worst press tour of all time.
I played a doctor on television.
The problem with playing a doctor on TV and acting like that means you're a real doctor is that people think you're giving them help from a place of deep education, and you're not. Maybe you can actually be helpful for real for some people some of the time, But there's lots of therapists who've gone through the academy, the whole academy, and can easily prove that, who are deeply, deeply trained on how to help people who are in complicated situations.
I'm not a real doctor, but I play one on TV. But I can probably be a little helpful. You're dealing with something.
And they are licensed so that the world can know you can trust this person.
I'm surprised by this Cheyenne Bryant controversy because I never thought she had a PhD. Like, never. Something about her always gave honorary doctorate at best.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, you can see it live here on Talk Talk Live on IG and YouTube. On YouTube, sorry, the live video. And listen, if Touré's calling you out, that's one thing. But if the medical community is calling you out, that's something completely different. And we're hearing from that, folks, because quite simply, she is deserving of some sort of criticism because she's been living off this idea that she is she is a doctor. She has chains representing it, and hey, listen, as long as you have a chain, you must be a doctor. Anyway, so we have these sort of representations. Yet her mannerisms, her the proof, the way she carries herself, all are unprofessional. All show that she is lacking of any merit and space to call herself a doctor. Let's continue.
And the press tour from hell took her to the mighty Joe Budden podcast, The Trouble Started. She explained that she was not licensed as a therapist anymore, and she did this in a very haughty tone as though we were the dummies and she had to educate us. She made it sound like we had not been actively listening, and that was the problem. It was so condescending. She made it seem like being licensed had been holding her back somehow, and being unlicensed had freed her to be the best life coach and psychology expert possible. I don't know what a psychology expert is. That led to a wild storm online. Practically all of the Black licensed therapists on TikTok jumped up to explain that she's talking nonsense. You need licensure.
Hello, my name is Dr. Raquel Martin. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, professor of sciences, and podcast host who specializes in Black health and well-being. And I want to break down a clip from the Joe Budden podcast featuring someone who presents herself as Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
A license is really only needed so you can bill insurance.
That is incredibly misleading. Yes, you do need a license to bill insurance, but that is not why licensure exists. Licensure protects you. It means I have completed specific education and supervised clinical hours, passed rigorous exams, and I'm accountable to a regulatory board.
So after the...
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to, throughout this broadcast, check for the attire worn by Cheyenne Bryant and by those who can tout themselves as doctors. I want you to have a look. Do it for yourself. You tell me if Cheyenne Bryant, fake doctor Cheyenne Bryant, can tout herself as being a doctor. Outside of any degree, outside of any chain, is she a doctor? Please follow in the comments.
Joe Budden podcast, the press tour from hell, took Cheyenne to the Breakfast Club, where she made it worse. They asked her basically, hey girl, where's your dissertation? She went into a long, roundabout, convoluted non-planation of why she can't get her transcript that sounded a lot like a digital version of The Dog Ate My Homework.
The conversation about your doctorate because people can't find your dissertation online.
It's very simple. I went to a school, Argos University, completed an entire program. I went back online to get my official transcripts because I was applying to a law school many years ago to be a professor there. And I had to provide my transcripts, right, to get hired. And I went to contact the school and say, hey, I need my official transcripts. I need my entire thing. And there was no school. I was like, okay, I'm confused. I Google. It says this school has been shut down. I said, oh, well, they got to have records. I mean, they were accredited when I attended the school. They were accredited when I finished the program.
Okay.
I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Why I contact the third party, that third party only holds records for 2 years. I was past my 2 years. So that means that I had no access to records. And then I contact.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to have a look at this. I'm just going to stop her lies for just a second. I want you to have a look at this caption, this X caption from Argosy University, her university that she attended to get her supposed doctorate. All records and transcripts are still accessible on our online portals. Any degrees that have been conferred to actual graduates are also still available for the record. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a law degree, a doctorate, a MBA from any university at any time, at any stage in history, especially if it came during the digital age, it is available for you 24/7. Your transcripts, your degree itself, and also any sort of dissertations you've written. You can just look it up and it's right there. It is very easy to access. Cheyenne Bryant is running a shell game. I don't know why people are posting Dr. Cheyenne Bryant still to this day. She's a liar. She's a charlatan. Get that out of her. I hate those who say something that they're not. But clearly she's trying to run a game on the host here of the Breakfast Club. And believe me, you can fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Let's continue.
Financial aid. You can't make up financial aid. It shows that I paid for a doctoral program alongside my master's program and my undergrad program. And they said, we can fully refund you your money under one circumstance. We give you your money back. You don't get credit for not a class, a course, a program you took in this university, at this institute. So do you want us to refund you? Or do you want us not? I said no, because I didn't want to risk the chance of them saying, well, we're going to give you back your money, and it wipes out your entire program. Luckily, I had, I do this with all of the schools. I had downloaded from the actual student portal my transcripts at that time, and I was able to get just about all of my transcripts, including up to like dissertation, but everything else.
Please point out, she said that she got all of her transcripts, so she could easily show that she received her degrees, that she received her doctorate if she completed said program. She has her transcripts. That's what transcripts are, people. You can literally take that to any accreditation program, to any board, to any licensing board, show them you've done the work, and they allow you to either take an exam or you can prove that you have indeed done the work commensurate to a doctorate, an LLB, an MBA, or any such high-level degree. Okay? So, she has said transcripts. She said she had said transcripts. But yet she can't produce them? Okay.
There's just no holding take for any of our records, which I think is completely effed up. Just in general.
They are going to kill you online this week. They're going to say she has no records?
It's not even that there's no records that I don't. The school had a third party that carried the records only for a limit of 2 years. So it's not me, it's any student that attended Argosy.
Other people have pointed out that you can still get a transcript from her college that closed right now today.
I asked Google to get your records from the closed Argosy University. You should order transcripts and diplomas online through Parchment, right? So now Parchment is the third-party company that she's speaking on. How long does Parchment hold on to transcripts from Argosy University? Parchment generally maintains access to digital records for closed institutions like Argosy University, often holding them for decades or indefinitely.
Today, May the 13th, 2026, I went ahead and I paid to see if I could get my transcript and how long it would take. I received a receipt. Then it says access transcripts.
He got access to his transcripts within minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that? Within minutes. If I wanted my transcripts from England, I can get them within minutes. If I want my transcripts from York University in Toronto, I can get them in minutes. Any reputable university, any accredited university, you can get your transcripts in minutes. She's running game on you. She's running game on us all. But to those who have received higher education, we all know this is just gobbledygook and hocus pocus. She's trying to run game on us. And clearly, it's not working. And so, we continue.
Many people have pointed that out.
As someone that holds the degree from the university that Miss Bryant reports herself to have, I have several questions and several points of clarification that will be made. The first is that the degree that she is speaking to is a Doctor of Education in Counseling Psychology from Argosy University. Parchment now holds all of the documentation from every student that attended that university. So she has access to...
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear the level of language from an educated person and Cheyenne Bryant. There's a distinct difference I or any learned individual can pick up. Let's continue.
Her transcripts indefinitely. When you obtain a doctorate, people like to verify your credentials and verify that you obtained that degree. Moreover, you had to have completed a dissertation. I know because I did it for that degree. There are things that you should know off the top of your head, like what the title of your dissertation is. Mine is the Alabama K-CREP and non-K-CREP Counselor Education Graduate Students Readiness to Counsel Substance Use Disorder Clients. What is yours? Who's your dissertation chair? Mine was Dr. David Arena. I had one reader. You should have access to your dissertation, even if you don't have the full one, which is odd because they send you that too. You should have each chapter broken down because you send it in chapters.
Yeah.
So where is it? And why are you unwilling to provide that information? Your clients deserve verification of your credentials. It is a part of our ethical compass and codes to do so. Not just with licensure, with any credentials that you use. The ACA 2014 ethical codes and standards require that any credential that you use needs to be backed up and verified and verifiable to all related boards and most especially to the client seeking your services. So the fact that you aren't willing to do that is problematic. It's disrespectful to the profession. It's disrespectful to your purported colleagues and most detrimentally to your clients. Please stop using them until you are willing to verify. Thank you.
So she's lying about being unable to get her transcripts. Within the long, winding story about being unable to get her transcripts, she said she had done it to apply to work at a law school. But she's never even claimed to have a law degree, so how are you going to teach at a law school with no law? But the question was not about transcripts, a record of the classes she took. It was about her dissertation, the big paper you write at the end that is the culmination of your academic career.
Ladies and gentlemen, even I had to write a dissertation for my law degree. I had to write it. In England, which was one of the toughest pieces of education that I've ever had to write. Quite simply, it was one of the toughest, rigorous programs I've ever been in my academic lifetime. Especially that dissertation, it literally takes over your life. And so when you have a person like Cheyenne Bryant skate in and say she's a quote unquote doctor it really smacks those who have worked so hard to complete said dissertations in the face. Because you have to go through hours, sleepless nights, working days to get this dissertation done. And on time, mind you. Through many drafts, mind you. It was hell. But that's what you do in order to receive the credentials that you do, that you worked for, so very hard for. So for someone to skate in on literal pretty privilege and speak to 3 individuals of a certain amount of head blows, those being Nick Cannon, Shannon Sharp, Cam Newton, and think that, oh, I'm providing therapy online, literally in front of the world, it smacks of disrespect. Let's continue.
If she had done a dissertation, she would be able to pull it up out of her computer, or it would be online already. It's not believable that you wrote a dissertation and now have no copies of it anywhere in the world and no way to access it. If you can't show it, if you can't prove you have a doctorate, if you can't provide any evidence, then maybe you should stop saying you have it.
Cheyenne Bryant went through all them loops and hoops to not clear up shit, so let me actually clear up what she was trying to say. What she was trying to say is, I don't have a doctorate degree. There is no dissertation. There is no documentation. I cannot show you a doctorate degree. But I am a master's level clinician without licensure. That's what she said. She went on there and said, people just want to hate me. People online just want to hate me. Nobody hates this woman. But we as a community have a right to shift the narrative away from this grifting, online, social media bullshit and put our community back in the hands of professionals with years of education and years of applicable experience to the thing that they are calling themselves an expert in. And while she does have some knowledge, she does have some education, she does not have the credentials to talk as fucking heavy as she do and or to be providing anybody with any life assistance.
Including those chains. Those chains are, listen. In order to show yourself a doctor, listen, I never knew. All you got to do is show her the chains around her neck. That should be enough. Yeah, I should have LLB around me. Listen, T.
Master the art of being a doctor on television.
How can you even imagine someone who did all that work and has no receipts? And when someone asks you for receipts, you refuse to. This was the thrust of her next interview on the press tour from hell, because Marissa Mitchell in DC did not come to play.
Why not provide the proof of your degree? Why not?
Well, a couple of things, right? I have multiple degrees, and my thing is that my proof isn't something that I have to prove to individuals. My proof is already within my credentials, my degrees, and also more than just my titles, it's in how effective I've been. All of my sessions have been live. For the most part, my sessions...
Listen to what she just said there. All of my sessions have been live. Meaning, anytime that she makes an appearance, she calls it a session. If she appears in front of a big audience, that's a session. If she appears in front of Cam Newton, that's a session. If she appears in front of Shannon Sharp, that's a session. Anything to bring her any sort of notoriety is considered a session. She can fall on no clinical background / practice with real patients as her backing to her doctorate. I'm amazed she doesn't have a chain on that says doc on it. Here, she usually does. But anyways, as she stated, all of her sessions are live. Meaning, you got to take her word for it, y'all. If you want to see something, go look at Shannon Sharp. Go look at Cam Newton. Go look at anybody out there. Nick Cannon. There we go. I just forgot about him. You want to look at me? You want to look at me in action? Go look at those men who have had so many blows to the head and so many embarrassments in public. They are your experts. Let's continue.
Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Shannon Sharp, B. Simone, they have all been for the world to see, right? So no one...
Did I just say that? Okay, listen.
Knew who Dr. Bryant was prior to seeing all of my sessions that were live. And they deemed it, as well as I did before they did it, they can't validate me, I validated myself, they deemed it as my work being effective. I'm effective at what I do. I'm educated and I'm successful in my lane, and I'll land on this. I created my own lane. And so a lot of times, Marissa, when people see that you created something that maybe they couldn't, admiration turns into envy. And you got to be okay. And you got to be okay with that in that
as an
space.
attack, but I think, and I've gotten this question from many
Yeah,
viewers.
it must be jealous. I mean, people must be jealous that your credentials stem from your interviews. You must say, okay, right. So what you're saying to me is your credentials stem from your interviews. Is that what you're saying? And shout out to the interviewer here. We're gonna feature her a little later in the show. I think it's Marissa Story, anyways. But again, she's a Washington journalist. Fantastic interview here, and she's basically exposing Cheyenne Bryant by degrees. Because first it was Joe Budden, then it went to the Breakfast Club. Now we've got this here. Her press tour is going to shit. Let's continue.
And I owe it to them.
You
in
do.
service to
Absolutely.
them. Why not drop doctor from your name if you cannot bring forth that doctoral degree?
So I've already covered this, right?
Remember, she said doctoral. Cheyenne said doctorial. Marissa said doctoral. Cheyenne said doctorial. You tell me in the comments who's right.
We're here obviously to talk about my new book. So I've earned the title. I have multiple degrees, and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. And we're going to leave it just as that.
Oh yeah. We're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna leave it right there because I can't get them. I can't get them degrees. I have multiple degrees, but I ain't gonna show you. I ain't gonna prove anything to you because you should take my word for it. Because look at me. Look at me. Just look at me. Look at me. That should be proof enough. I'm pretty. I'm so pretty. Listen.
Yeah, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
Baby, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
And that's where, and you're standing by that.
Standing by it. Yeah,
right.
Because I earned it. Absolutely.
The real answer to the question, why doesn't she just back down? Why doesn't she say she's not really a doctor? The real answer is this. Cheyenne is all about doubling down. It's central to her personality. She told me she never backs down. She always doubles down. And Stephen A. Smith was one of her broadcasting idols. From him, she learned never backtrack, only double down, no matter what.
Ladies and gentlemen, do remember that as we go through the show, because we're going to show you how her doubling down goes into action, goes into practice, with Touré being on the victim end. Let's continue.
It sounds tough, but what it means is you have an opinion, you got information that contradicted your opinion or part of it, information that should make you rethink your opinion or part of it, but you refuse to change your opinion, and you're actually increasing your investment in it in spite of the countervailing information. When Stephen A. does it in a sports context, it's like, I picked the Lakers to win this series, but they're down 0-2, but I'm doubling down. I still believe. When a family and marriage therapist or a psychology expert, whatever that means, says they're doubling down, it means they're rejecting new information, new research, new knowledge. So when you say, it looks like you're not a doctor, she says, I'm doubling down on the fact that I am a doctor. An actual doctor would respond to the question with evidence. The Academy teaches you to be evidence-based and to look for and present evidence. That would be the way to address the question. But she's saying, no, I don't need to give you evidence because
My proof isn't something that I have to prove to individuals.
And that sounds shady. Who refuses to give evidence? People who think giving the evidence would be worse than being attacked for not giving the evidence. It's kind of like Trump with the Epstein files. What he's dealing with now, the verbal attacks because he won't release the files, the unending questions, all of that is better than actually releasing the real files and letting people discover what he really did.
Absolutely well said there by Touré. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's better to tell pretty lies than the ugly truth. That's what's going on here with Cheyenne. There are ugly truths behind her degree. She don't want anybody to see them degrees. She doesn't want anybody to see what she's got. Nope. I'm gonna double down on this lie until the wheels fall off. Why? Because these looks will move me forward. My sessions, which are all live, as she did say, they are the things that will legitimize my credentials, just like Trump, just like Trump. You know what I mean? Listen, he'd rather people speak to say, okay, yeah, we know he's in the Epstein files, and he just say, no, I'm not in the Epstein files. No, we know you're in the Epstein files, buddy. Where are the files? Oh, they're all redacted. He'd rather keep going with that lie and have people like wink and a nod know that that he's in those files, than him coming up and showing what he really did on that island, if you know what I mean. What really went on between himself and Mr. Epstein. And again, it's like the law. It's like any medical practice. You want to prove your doubters wrong? Give them evidence. Give them empirical, give them evidential proof that indeed you are right in what you have to say. But she ain't doing that, did she? Let's continue.
For him, appearing to be caught in a lie is better than us knowing the truth.
Bang.
That's where Cheyenne is. Appearing to be lying about something like this is better than being unmasked as not a doctor at all.
That's right.
She has only financial aid documents showing she paid for a doctoral program. And if you listen carefully, the word doctoral in this conversation becomes a sticking point because she can't even pronounce the word. She pronounces it doctorial.
I paid for a doctoral program.
One would say that if you can't even pronounce the word, who is going to believe that you actually have completed a doctoral program? What she wants you to believe is that she's a victim of a corrupt institution. Conveniently, not someone who made up whole.
Remember, this is a corrupt institution where you can easily access your transcripts, marks, dissertations, degrees online. Let me say that for the cheap seats, okay? Hold on. This is, I'm going to say it for both. This is for a school where you can easily access your transcripts, your grades, your dissertation, your degrees online to infinity and beyond. I feel like Buzz Lightyear. Any student can feel like Buzz Lightyear when you go to Argos University, because, or any accredited school, because you can receive said credentials instantaneously or within 24 hours. Listen, if you believe this woman, I have a plot in Antarctica ready to farm today. All you need to do is send me $1 million into my account, okay? And for every month thereafter for the next 52 years, or as long as I live. Let's continue.
Cloth that she has a degree that she hasn't completed.
I paid for a doctoral program,
Let me tell you my Cheyenne story. For several months last year, we did a 4-person talk show where she and I were the lead voices. I tried to get clips of it, but the third party that holds the records only holds on to old videos for 2 years. So on the show, we kept coming back to the same intellectual argument. All of this was on the show, on the air. I'm not talking about anything behind the scenes. For me, at the core of this intellectual argument was what y'all have been saying through this press tour from hell. Is she really an academic? Is she really a doctor? See, I'm a parent of 2 teenagers, and I believe, because I have read and researched a lot on the subject, I believe parents should not hit children as punishment. There should be no corporal punishment in the home. I know that's triggering to a lot of people who are not child psychologists, but every major child psychologist today says it is definitely harmful to children.
People say, I hit my child to teach them. That's not how the brain works. A child cannot take in new information when they're in survival mode because all that oxygenated blood goes to the muscles to do all that fight or flight mode work. They're not hearing you. They're not processing information. They're trying to survive the moment.
Does spanking actually work?
No. And this is really important for people to know is the data is clear on this, and no child development researcher would ever tell you that spanking is a good idea at this point. No child development researcher would ever tell you that spanking is a good idea.
The first time I said on the show that there should be no corporal punishment for children, I assumed that Cheyenne would, of course, co-sign that because she's a family and marriage therapist, or so I thought she was. She claims to have a master's in family and child therapy. Surely someone who's studied this deep in this field would agree with the major child psychologists of today. No, she said, and I quote, that gentle parenting stuff doesn't work. Wow. I was blown away that a person with a master's in child therapy and family therapy would seriously advocate for corporal punishment. The topic came up repeatedly like every other show, and every time I said corporal punishment is wrong, and that's an opinion built on consuming modern child psychology. And every time she would say that gentle parenting stuff doesn't work. I was blown away by her opinion and by how she expressed herself. That gentle parenting stuff doesn't work is not how an intellectual talks.
No, it isn't. And you should know by the way she speaks anyway, she's not an intellectual. There you go. By her words alone, she shames herself. By her decisions alone, she shames herself. We have got to get clear of this woman. But listen, I did my bit of due diligence here. I did. And guess what I found, ladies and gentlemen? Shout out to Toure. Do like and subscribe to Toure, doing wonderful things in his YouTube streams. He did work with Cheyenne Bryant, and she plays a doctor on TV. Yeah, I managed to get a hold of the show in question. Well, at least a sample of the show in question, because these guys were working together for months. So I decided, in my infinite wisdom, to look up Fawcett Media. Shout out to Fawcett Media, doing wonderful things YouTube streets. He has done the due diligence, and this just came out today, I believe. Yes, today. And we have firsthand video proof. Because, listen, we all believe in it, but I know Cheyenne does. But we have firsthand proof of her activities with said Toure on said TV show. And let me say this. she did not put herself in a good light. Now, again, disagreements happen and such, but they are clearly not a good team, as is evidenced here. Let's let Fawcett Media continue here. Shout out to Fawcett Media doing wonderful things in YouTube streets. Like and subscribe to him. Let's get in.
This was disturbing.
First of all, Teray, first of all, Teray.
Why don't you let me wrap the show? I'm ending the show.
First of all,
what is the point of interrupting me?
First of all,
we're getting out of here. Like, what is the point? What is the point? It says go to
voice when you're talking to me. Lower your voice when you're talking to me. Because you're acting very, very gentle, very soft, and very feminine. And this is the problem.
Okay, so we've already went over Cheyenne Bryant's credentials or lack thereof in previous videos, so I won't spend time re-explaining that. What I want to talk about today is how this clip was suspiciously uploaded on the Truth Talks Live page the other day. There was a show that Cheyenne was on with Torrey and Frank Ski and Ariva Martin, where they had kind of a panel online show. I think it started on Fox Soul. They haven't had any like new episodes, but they seem to be clout chasing off of everything that Cheyenne Bryant does, including her podcast interviews. But in this one, Cheyenne Bryant crashes out on former MTV journalist Torrey. And shout out to Torrey. I was actually featured in Torrey's latest video, actually talking about Cheyenne Bryant, about why she's not a doctor.
That's where Cheyenne is. Appearing to be lying about something like this is better than being unmasked as not a doctor at all.
Remember that? Let's continue.
She has only financial aid documents showing she paid for a doctoral program. And if you listen carefully, the word doctoral in this conversation becomes a sticking point because she can't even pronounce the word. She pronounces it doctorial.
I paid for a doctoral.
Let's move on. Let's get it.
And you actually see what's really going on underneath.
And this is how life works. And successful people, not just only externally, but internally, what they do carry at the nucleus of who they are is discipline and boundaries.
If gentle parenting creates gentle children, sign me up. I definitely want to create more gentle adults, especially men. Hold on, Ariva, especially men.
You are a
My
gentle,
God,
you
are
are
you
a
kidding?
very,
Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. That's what we need in the world is more gentle men who understand.
You're very gentle, and it comes at
Okay, so you can see right now that she didn't exactly like the slight that Torrey offered to her. So again, she called him a bit effeminate, a bit of a member of the alphabet gang, because she wants to get her 2 cents in, ladies and gentlemen. Because when she's losing an argument, she goes scorched earth. So again, hit a man where it hurts, call him a bit on the funny side of the street, if you know what I mean. Let's continue.
angle that doesn't always work for people.
Let's just stop and go back.
Is this who you want to get your life coaching from?
Because I'm wrapping the show and you're interrupting me.
First of all,
this is what we spent a whole meeting on this.
First of all, Teray, first of all, Teray.
Why don't you let me wrap the show? I'm ending the show.
First of all,
what is the point of interrupting me?
First of all,
we're getting out of here. Like, what is the point? What is the point? It says go to host up.
Voice when you're talking to me. Lower your fucking voice when you're talking to me.
Because you're acting. Here again, she betrays herself once more. That language does not denote a medical professional. That denotes a bit of a potty mouth, a bit of a sailor's daughter. Yeah. No. I don't want any diagnosis from this woman, especially if she's diagnosed the likes of Cam Newton, Nick Cannon, and Shannon Sharp. Let's continue.
Very, very gentle, very soft, and very feminine. And this is the problem. Teray, you talk to your wife like that. You don't talk to me like that. I am not your wife. You don't talk to me like that. I'm not your wife, gentle. I'm not your wife, softy. Don't talk to me like that. You talk to your wife like that.
Clearly, this was not a match made in heaven in terms of show hosts. Let's continue.
Not me. Teray, talk to your wife like that. Do not talk to me like that.
Professional.
That is not how you prepare.
This is coming from a woman who does not have chick nor child nor person to which she can consider. Listen, this man has a wife and kids, and yet she's speaking like she is the expert on relationship. Can you believe it? You know what? I'd rather listen to Touré give me a diagnosis than you, Cheyenne Bryant. Let's continue.
Finish.
That is not how you professionally approach me. Don't fucking talk to me like that. Check.
Frank and Ariva, I apologize.
Check yourself. You don't talk to me like that.
Hold
talk
on,
to your
Doc.
wife like that.
Doc, hold on.
Shut the fuck up talking to me like that. That's what you do. That's what you do. You better tap into your gentleness and real quick.
How she's allowed to get away with pretty privilege and an absolute potty mouth is beyond ridiculous. And how she can comport herself with some sort of decorum, and yet she considers herself Dr. Cheyenne Brett. Please, I keep telling people, listen to how they speak. It is absolutely clear. It should show to absolutely everyone that she is seen nowhere near any sort of clinical instruction, dissertation, practice whatsoever. This is a street urchin. She came up on the wrong side, and although she has some sort of education to which she has not proven herself, this is not a professional at all. And if there's anything that should show you that she should not be given the designation of doctor, well, you can show up at her her last Usher concert, believe me, with her modern female friends. Do the research. Let's continue.
Are we ready?
I've been ready. Been ready.
Ariva, Frank, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yep. You ready, Tori, to wrap this up?
Yes, as I was doing.
And then we'll speak off camera. Here we go.
We always ask, when should a parent be held responsible for their children's behavior, whether it's at school, tantrum in Walmart, whatever. Let's flip the lens. There's a difference between the parent mourning a child lost to violence and the one silently praying because their child pulled the trigger. To continue to see the show and support Black media, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Truth Talk /live, where you can catch us every night at 8 p.m. EST and at 11 p.m. EST. Support Black media at Cash App's Truth Talks Live or on any of the links on your screen. Get your Truth Talks membership today. Click here on the screen and you can choose from 3 different exciting tiers. Black media is under attack and this show is being shadow banned. So support us by telling a friend to tell a friend to check us out every night at 8 p.m. See you next time on our channel.
Good night, y'all.
But let's talk about how this happened, because the female relationship space didn't just want a commentator. They wanted a secret weapon, someone with a title who could be taken seriously, whether the title was real or not, who could sit on camera and tell millions of women that wealthy Black entertainers are emotionally broken, that they build broken homes, that they're the reason that all these relationships are failing. That narrative needed a voice to feel like they were analyzing things instead of just airing their grievances. Cheyenne Bryant was that voice. And this Touré clip is where the mask came off. So what actually happened here? Touré is not known for his crazy outbursts. He makes a comment about wanting more gentle men in the world, whether you agree or disagree with that. But his voice is measured, professional. He's not being aggressive. He's not really even being dismissive, but he just wants to wrap the show and get out of there, right? He's done with this, right?
If gentle parenting creates gentle children, sign me up. I definitely want to create more gentle adults.
But the alleged doctor will not let him move on past that.
My God, are you kidding?
Because she felt slighted. because he got a dig on her and she wouldn't let it go. There it is. She would not let it go. And if the professional mask slips, it's here. It's definitely here. If the doctoral mask slips, it's definitely here. She is the hood chick doctor, which means you're not a Dr. L. You're just saying things that people want to hear, that go viral, and people can cling to you as their own. And quite simply, that is dishonorable and quite disrespectful. But again, she's got to get her own back. So, strong black woman, don't need no man, clearly. Yeah, she's going to get her back.
Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. That's what we need in the world is more gentle men who understand.
You're very gentle, and it comes at an angle that doesn't always work for people.
She tells him to lower his voice that wasn't raised at that point. She calls him soft. She calls him feminine.
Because you're acting very, very gentle, very soft, and very feminine.
She starts talking about his wife.
I am not your wife. You don't talk to me like that. I'm not your wife, gentle. I'm not your wife, softy.
Not your wife, softy. Not your wife, gentle. No wonder she ain't got no man. Why would you want to be with a battle axe like this?
Don't talk to me like that.
What does his wife have to do with any of this situation, right? She's just trying to insult Touré. You don't talk to me like that. Play that back and think about what's actually being said. The calm demeanor of Touré, is exactly what a lot of women tell men they're looking for, right? They want somebody that can be calm and understanding and speak to them in a way to try to get through to them. But now...
Yeah, but not city girls. And that's exactly what Cheyenne Bryant represents. City girls. Modern women, hood chicks, who cannot seem to see the forest for the trees, who cannot prove their credentials, but will say they're a doctor. And if you speak the language of the hood, that's all you need. That's literally all you need. Make sure you get the baby hairs right. Let's continue.
That, in Cheyenne's mind, that's weakness. And she's throwing it back in his face. He's better than me because I would have checked the shit out of her ass. I don't play those type of games. You can't allow yourself to be disrespected in that way. And then she wants to do it on TV too? Now I really got to teach you a lesson. That's how she thinks about men, that they're one-dimensional.
Because you're acting very, very gentle, very soft, and very feminine. And this is the problem. Touré, you talk to your wife like that. You don't talk to me like that. I am not your wife. You don't talk to me like that. I'm not your wife, gentle. I'm not your wife, softy.
This is exactly what she does to the men she analyzes on these podcasts. Her alleged sessions that she's had, which look like podcast interviews to everybody else that has half a brain cell. But she applied that to Touré, who was trying to reason with her, trying to tell her something professional that she should have known. I'm trying to wrap the show. But when she talks about emotionally unavailable men or men who can't communicate, what she's describing by her own behavior in this clip is men who don't communicate on her terms.
But these families are still broken. Every child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior. To say that I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still...
Dissipate? Okay, we're done here, guys.
Still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses.
So in Cheyenne's mind, Touré is a soft target. The same way she attacked Cam Newton and Nick Cannon, because their demeanor didn't give any real pushback to the narrative that she had running prior to interviewing with them.
And why is that? Because these men have been known well, outside of Shannon Sharp, Shannon Sharp too is, outside of Shannon Sharp, have been known to be quite, how shall I say, fiending for the flesh, being quite lecherous, being quite, how shall I say, desirable of pretty women in numbers. And so she can run game on them because they want, they want to wink, nod, do what needs to be done in order to potentially have a chance with her. Listen, that's fine. I mean, Nick has his 12 and Cam has his, I think, 9 children. Shannon, I think he has 1 or 2, but I think he's a little more responsible. But still, if you're younger, you can have $50 million unofficially, but allegedly, but she could put the wool over their eyes, but not to a man like Toure, who has a wife and kids himself, who tends to be a very learned individual. Who, yes, he's progressive, but she saw a weakness in him, so she calls him effeminate. Try that with me, different story. But with Toure, he's a professor. He wants to remain professional. He wants the end of the show, and that I think is totally fine. However, Cheyenne shows her modern female side, and she wondered why she's alone. Let's continue.
Somehow that they're bad fathers just because they're wealthy and they have a lot of children with different women. But here's the part that matters most. She's supposed to be the mental health professional in the room, the person that's an example of what emotional regulation is supposed to look like.
Shut the fuck up talking to me like that. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Licensed therapists aren't just held to a standard because of ethics boards. They're held to it because dysregulated behavior from someone in a position of psychological authority causes real harm.
Allegedly.
To the people around them. It destabilizes them. And that's why her operating out here without a license doesn't hold her to those same standards. So she can maneuver how she wants to. And when you have a platform of her size and people give you constant exposure, she's spreading bad habits like these to her audience. This woman is a problem. This woman is a menace. And she's out here doing stuff like this. It's embarrassing. She doesn't really understand how embarrassing it is. Because she also had a similar outburst on Basketball Wives, which someone was asking the other day, what type of professional woman is seeking to be on Basketball Wives? It seemed like
and seeking confrontation. You never see a real professional really want confrontation. Well, a clinical professional really look for confrontation. I mean, some, but most don't. Cheyenne Bryant cannot prove her credentials and but seek out. It's just, and her speech is very guttural. It just doesn't match up to many clinicians, doctors who can prove their credentials. They seem to have a certain patter about them, a certain nomenclature, a certain amount of gravitas, a certain amount of vocabulary expertise that Cheyenne clearly does not grasp. Ms. Doctorial over here. And to the lowest common denominator, absolutely. It's, whatever's clever. She's a rose who rose up from the concrete. Oh yes, whatever she's saying, I'm buying. But to those who really are who they say they are, they know she's a charlatan. They know it. They can see it and they can identify it. She is not who she says she is. And they're calling her out on it. They're calling on her bullshit. They're calling on her nonsense. And it's so good to see. Finally, her comeuppance arrives, and we bear witness to it. All of us here at Talk Live. We're just going to come back to IG in just a bit. We're going to keep the show rolling. Do not go away. Do not go away on YouTube. Please do not. We're just going to say We're just going to renew the feed on IG. So come on back to us on IG here. And we'll be back right here to finish up with part 2 in just a bit. Stay tuned. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk live on IG and YouTube. First hour complete. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get into this here. We're back on Talk Live on IG. I'm just moving this over. There we go. Yes, indeed. So back in black here on IG on Talk Live. So thank you very much to Fawcett Media, doing wonderful things, YouTube streets. Now, again, listen, she's been to Joe Budden podcast. She's been to the Precipice Club. She's worked with Touré. She's done all these different things. You can see the devolution of this alleged doctor, and she's not a doctor. Let's say she is not a doctor. She plays one on TV. So, what has this done to her sales, ladies and gentlemen? Let's have a study of that, because she just recently put out a book where she puts herself as Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, and quite simply, she cannot prove said credentials, and she's gone on record to say that she will not be doing so. So, how does it do for her book sales? So, we're going to get into this here with Reva TV. Do like and subscribe to Reva TV. Do wonderful things, YouTube streets. And, yeah, she's doing quite well. So, shout out to Reva TV. And let's get into this right here with how her book is doing. She recently put out a book that I care not to mention because it has nothing of any substance involved with that as well. I'm sure she had a ghostwriter literally make stuff up. But anyways, let's get into this right here in terms of her book sale. Let's continue.
You know, his word, my sheep will know my voice, even the sheep in wolf clothing. That is not my bag.
And so we're going to go ahead and jump into the reviews left under, you know, her book and why she's not 5-star rated on Amazon and why she's actually overnight gone from 2 stars down to 1.9. So this person gave the review 1 star. And it says, masquerading as a doctor of psychology is dangerous, misleading, and illegal. She then furthers her comment by saying, if I could...
May 15, 2016. So that was just last week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue.
Rated 0 stars, I would. It says, Cheyenne Bryant makes false claims that she is a doctor of psychology. The editorial review of this book reaffirms this false and illegal claim. This claim is not only harmful, but it is illegal and grossly negligent. Now, before we continue, you know, through the rest of what I saw, a lot of people have also made mention in my comment sections that Dr. Bryant trademarked her name. Right? So she literally trademarked Dr. Bryant, right? So basically it's like her stage name. I don't know if you could use doctor as a stage name, you know? I understand, like, you know, people like Dr. Dre or stuff like that, because they're not walking around, you know, calling themselves the doctors of psychology.
So I've been in private practice.
Oh, guys, do remember she is in, this is her clinical practice, ladies and gentlemen. She has this, you know, she's diagnosing, ladies and gentlemen. This is a closed session among 500 to 1,000 people. So remember, the doctor's in session here. This is one of her many noted clinical sessions. Let's continue.
As a doctor of psychology for 17 years.
Like, there's a vast difference. I think when you are using the title, you know, Dr. Bryant, and you're also in tandem, like, you know, acting as a doctor of psychology or stating that you are a doctor of psychology, I think that's a conflict of interest. Next comment says, warning, fraudulent claims and false credentials by author. Next person says, 3 stars. The information she presents is controversial because she has an honorary doctorate in a subject outside of psychology and cannot provide documentation for her claimed psychology academic degrees. She's used Darvo in interviews when challenged. Know that this book contains advice. So this one was a little more level-headed, right? Again, this is how we know that these are real reviews. This person is like, hey, like, I wouldn't, you know, think of it as like a, you know, a therapy book, or I wouldn't necessarily think of this as like, you know, from a mental health professional from that aspect.